All right, so I want to design a simple login form using tkinter in Python and mysqli. It's going to be a login form. So if you look at this index, I already have imported tkinter from imported all from tkinter. Then tkinter itself, I have this importing this tkk file here, which I'm going to use to design the frame and stuff like that. And this actually, by the way, from the documentation. Okay, if you look at the documentation from python.org, you're going to see this code sample, just a hello world code. What we're doing here is simple. We're importing tkinter and then we're calling the tkinter function. Then we're actually using that frame. This is a frame. Okay, it has a frame, so that's the root, which is the frame of the box you're seeing. We'll add some padding of 10, and then we'll divide it into two grid to have two sides. So if you have grid, you're going to have rows and column. So at column 1, row 1, which is the instance, the first beginning of the column, we're going to have this text, which is a label. If you know HTML, at least you know what the label is. And then we'll have a button here to write quit. So if I run this program now, it's going to have a very simple program, you know, it's resizable. And so it says hello world quit. If I click on quit, it's going to close this application. So if I click that, that's going to close the application. Okay, so that's what we have, very simple there. Just an introduction to that. So you can have a command issue to root.destroy. That's the code that will run whenever this button is actually clicked. That's what we are saying. Alright, so the main loop is just to to run this application. So I have a form here. Okay, I've downloaded some images from Google that I can use to do this. So I'm going to just use one of them. I don't know which one yet. Maybe I'll use I wish I have PNG image. I'll just use one of them, maybe this one. Okay, when the time comes there, we can use that. So what I want to do is to design this form. First thing first, we're going to import tkinter, we're going to import everything from tkinter. Very, very important. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is to import the message bus. So I'm going to say from tkinter, import message box. Okay, so these are the two things we need right here to fire down. So the message box we're going to be using for alerts, to display alert messages and stuff like that. Okay, so that's what we'll be doing. Then I'm going to create a root file. You can call it anything, but I decided to call it root. So this root is going to have the tkinter frame. So this is going to give us a frame for that tkinter stuff. So by just doing this alone, if you come over here and run the main loop, you'll say lit.main loop, which is a function. If I do this and run this code, you should be able to see something. Okay, yeah, so this is the box we have just created. By just saying root tkinter, calling this guy, it's going to give us this box here. Okay, so that's what we'll have. So the next thing we want to do is to give it a title. Like you can see, it's just tk, sorry. So we're going to give it a name. So I'm going to call it login form. You can call it anything you want to log in. So I'm going to resize it, give it a different size, then position it at the center here. Then give it background and make sure it's not resizable. So let me just do all of this. So I'm going to just say, to give it a name, I'll just say root dot title. So root dot title, I'm going to call it login. If I can type better, login form. Okay, so now if we run it, we're going to be seeing, I'm not going to be running everything, but you see we have login. Let me expand it. So we have login form at the top here. Okay, login form. So what I want to do, I don't want the size to be always like that. I want the size to have a different size. So I'm going to say root dot geometry. So dot geometry, and it's going to be a string. So I'm going to say 900 by, make sure this X is not capital letter. By the way, let me show you. If I over here, I think. Yes, if I over here, you see there's an intelligence suggestion here, which is saying that what I need to do is to set the width multiplied by the height, and then I need to give you the x and y coordinates. That's the axis where I want it to be positioned, which means it's going to be positioned on the x against the y. Okay, so that's just what I need. And this thing has to be a string. Okay, so to be a string, that's what I need to do. So I just come over here and say maybe 9, let's say 925 by maybe let's say 500. Then I'm going to add plus 300, that's the x axis, plus 200, that's y, plus 200. Okay, that's y axis. Alright, now if I run it, you see that it's actually going to be bigger. Yeah, it's going to be bigger and it's going to be centered at the page. Alright, so that's what we're saying. Very, very important. Alright, so the next one I want to say is to set is the background color. So I say dot configure. Configure. I don't know why I can't write configure. Alright, so don't configure. I want to configure the background. So you see there are so many things you can configure here. VSO is actually helping. You can configure menu, configure cursor, background, BG, sorry, and few other things, take focus and so on. So for the background, I'll say BJ set it equal to, you can set it to anything. So if I set it to, for example, red, using hexadecimal, still sets hexadecimal color. If I save, you see that it's going to be red box. Yeah, so I have a red box. If I want it to be green, I can do F, and then if I run it, it's going to be green. Okay, and so on. Okay, you can expand, minimize, maximize, and so on. Okay, so but I want it to be, let me make it white. So I'm going to do FFF, which is going to make it white. So now I want you to notice something. If I save, it's going to be white, of course. But then you notice that it's actually still resizable. I can still resize it. I don't want people to be able to resize it because I want it to have a definite box. So I'm going to say roof dot resizable. So I'm going to pass for the x axis, I don't want it to be resizable, so I will say false. And for the y axis, I don't want it to be resizable, I will say false. Now if I run this code, you see that it's no longer resizable. I can't even, the mouse is no longer active on the edge of the box. So the next thing I want to do is to set image. So I'm going to say set image, because I want to divide this box into two equal half. I'm going to set my image. So how do we import image using tkinter? It's very simple. So I'm going to call it img, set it equal to, let's call it photo, photo image. So this photo image is going to be carrying the file. So like see, the file is going to be, the name of this image is going to be string, or it's going to be none. So you can write some other things there, but for us we're going to make it string. Okay, so we're going to make it a string. So all we need to do is to come over here and define the file that we want to use as image. So I'm going to say file. Okay, set it equal to, so we'll have like create file, deploy file, some other things. There are a lot of things here. So but then what we want is just the file. Okay, so this first one, so we want to pick a file from there. So all we need to do is to open up here. Now the file is actually inside a folder, so I'm going to specify that file, and then we're going to place it in the direction we want it to be. Okay, that's what we're going to be doing. Okay, so let's do that. Go to /img/ if I call the login, let me use login 3 dot png dot jpeg. Okay, dot jpeg. So that's the file I want to use. Very simple. So we need to position this file. So before I do that, I'm going to call label. Okay, I'm going to use label, then taking the root of the application, which is the frame of that application. I'm going to say image to I'm going to set the image to the image I just imported. This image I just imported, so it's going to be inside the label, because label is used to, you know, write things or display image or something. So we can use and do that, set it in the label. So the last thing I want to do that is to set the background color of this image. I want the background color. Sorry, I want the background color to be let's use white, since we are already using white. So it's quite simple. So white, and then I want to place this label. So I'm going to place it from the S and Y axis. I'm going to place because this is like using this are using grid. So I'm going to place it. X is going to be 50, and then Y is equally going to be 50. Okay, that's what I want to do there, and then that's it. So finally I want to add the frame. Okay, I want to define the frame variable, not this frame, actually a frame variable, set it equal to this frame. Then this frame is going to contain, of course, the root of the application. So the root is going to be there, and then I'm going to have a width of 350 pixels. Okay, and then I'm going to have a height of 350 pixels. So this is the height and the width of the image, and then we can also set the background color to be maybe white. Okay, let's try another color. Let me just show you something. So background color, let's do blue, for example. Let's save. Okay, let's place the frame. Of course, let's place the frame where we want it to be. So to place the frame, we're going to say frame, this frame, the one we created, dot place Okay, so we're going to place it on the S and Y axis. So to place it is simple. We're going to, so on the S axis, on the X axis, we're going to have it at 480 pixels. These are figures, as in by checking the numbers that you need to use. So I'm going to say Y equals to 70. Okay, so that's what I'm going to have there, and then that should work. So let's see what we have now. Okay, so it could not find it's not able to find the image. Let's see, tkinter call image create. So it's not able to find this image. Let's see. Okay, let me remove this dot slash. Let me just have it as image. Let's see. Still cannot find the image. Okay, I think the problem will be maybe we need to specify the directory where the image is. I think it's here, but somehow I don't know why it's saying the image cannot be found. Let me try. No such file or directory. img/that login3.jpg. That's correct. So I'm still having that error. I will move this image, this particular image, I'll move it to the root so as it will be in the same root with this one. So let's see if we can actually. We need to get a PNG file. PNG files. So I actually downloaded some before, but there are no PNG. So I'm going to get this time around. I'm going to get PNG forms. That looks okay. So let me try this one. See if it's PNG. It doesn't even have a download button, so I just find simple image. has to be .png. That's just my thing. Let me reload this page. It has to be PNG, because if it's not PNG, it's not going to work. So that's why I need to make sure it's PNG. Okay. So I don't know why it's still showing me these stuff. So let me just try this one. Let's just open a new tab. I wish I could just download this. Save as. Yeah, this PNG, beautiful. This PNG. Alright, I'll just download this one. I think that should be okay. That should be fine. No, that's too much. That's too much. Alright, so I think we have what we want. So I just go over here and to my download folders. I'm going to just pick that image. I'm actually going to cut it and close this off. Go to my file structure here, and here let me delete this image. Here I'm going to have this image here inside the image folder. It's I downloaded this one, but they are not working because they are JPEG. That's the PNG. So I'm going to run this one, login, logon.png. So after doing that, if we go back and run our code this time around, use our code. So I already have it logon.png. So try running this code and I shouldn't get any errors. Yeah, so it's working. So our image is here. Though I don't like the background that is there. I came with the background, I wish I could have cleaned it up, but it's all good. So this blue, I've divided this page into two, as you can see. I have my frame, okay. The label. The label has it. I placed it 50-50. That is half of the page, Okay. So the remaining half is going to be going to this guy, okay, which I've already placed it here 450 bits and that. So I just give it a background color blue, so I can just see it. But it doesn't have to be blue. In fact, I'm going to make it white. I'm going to say FFF to make it white, and then of course if you come over here, one thing with Python, I need to run this program again. So I need to click on run again, and you see that it's actually white. So that is it for that. We've been able to create our image, and we're able to set our image, then place the image where it's supposed to be. So the next thing we want to do now is to set the heading of that side where we have the image. Okay. Now, to do that is simple. I'm going to create a heading, which is a variable. Of course, you can call it anything. Variable label. Okay. So the label we're going to create here now is going to be that frame. Remember, we defined a frame. This frame of roots here. This frame. We define a frame. So that's the frame we're still using. So under that frame, I want to put a text box, okay. Now this text is going to carry login, okay, and then we're going to have a 4-color. We'll have 4-color and background color. 4-color is the color of the text, and then we'll have background color, which is the color of the that's FG 4-color. All right. So the next thing I want to do is to have a color there. So I'm going to use blue, for example. So I'm using the hexadecimal color code again. You can use any color of your choice. So this is blue, RGB. So for my background color, I'm going to use white. So background color, I'm going to use white. So I'm going to use the hexadecimal color code again. This color code, you can also define them as a variable and just use them if you want to. I'm trying to make this video not to be too long. So the fonts I want to use, you can use any font of your choice. But I'm going to use because the font comes with font size of 4 family. So I'm going to use Times New Roman. Times New Roman. I'm going to use font of 24 size, and I'm going to make it bold. So I'll just say bold. Okay. By just doing that alone, that should be fine. Then coming over, let me hide this so it will be better. So here I'm going to now place that heading. Any element you create, you need to place it and give it a position where you want it to stay. So the position I want to place this one is going to be on the x-axis. I'm going to have x-axis. I'm going to have it to be low. So I'm going to have the x-axis to be 100, while I'm going to have the y-axis to be 5. Okay. So let's see what we have so far. So to save and run this code, we're going to be having a login form here, login button here. So under here now I'm going to have the button, like an input field where I'm going to add a button. Remember, this is a label. This is also a label. You can put in a detail if you want to. We'll convert this onto a frame and then we're using it. Alright. So I'm going to have 2 input fields for username and for password. Those are the 2 I'm going to have. They're very simple. So I'm going to close, come over here and create a comment. Let's say create user input fields. If I can write fields. Okay. So let me make more room here. So what we need to do here is simple. We're going to, in fact, let me define a variable called user, because we can actually reuse it if you want to. So user, I'm going to say entry. That's how you get that. You can say entry, which gives you a box where you can enter something. Enter some kind of thing. So I'm going to call the frame. Remember the frame we defined, which is this frame, this particular frame. Okay, we defined. So this frame is that's one where that's where we want to put this input field. That's the second part of the frame. So I'm going to give it a width of 25. I'm going to give it the 4 color, which is the color you see, like the color of the text, or the color of the let's say example the color of the text. So it's going to be black. So black is going to be 000. Sorry, it's going to be hexadecimal value 000, which is black. And I'm going to give it a border. So this border is going to be 0, like 0 now, but normally it comes with border. So I'm going to 0 out the border. I'm going to have a background color of, let's still do white, because I want it to be kind of transparent, like match with the background. So again, we're going to do fonts. So I'm going to give it font, the same font I used before. So I can actually copy these fonts. Same font I used before. That's what I'm saying. These things, you can define it as a variable, and then we use them maybe as we progress in the program, or maybe we want to do the second version of the program, you can actually do that. So to start with, I don't want it to be bold, and I think 12 is too much. 24 is too much. Let me make it 12. Okay, and then I need to place it. So we are done defining the form, so we need to place it instead of place. So we will do it, but place on the grid. So I need to put it on the x-axis. It's going to be 30. And then on the y-axis is going to be, let's say, 80. Okay, that's what I want to do. And finally, I want to insert something inside this, so the user can actually see. So we'll say user.insert. So what we want to insert there is at position 0. That's the column 0. That's the position 0 of that one. I want to say enter your name. Okay. After we are done with that, we are going to define the frame. Okay, let's see how it looks like first before we do that. So run that, and then we should see an input field here. So you can type something. Okay. So you can actually give it a border if you want, but I think it's fine. It's not that fine. Let me give it a border. So I'm going to use border 0, I'm going to use border 1, and then background color of white. I'm going to dim it a little bit, so it's a little bit dim. So save. So if I run this code now, it's going to be, yeah, I think I like it better this way. I can even increase the length of that box. So the width, sorry, so I can make it 30 if I want to. And then I think this is too dark. Let me use E. So save. Let's try that. Yeah, much better. Much better. Okay. Yeah. Alright. So that's what we have. We're going to do the same for the second input. So I'll just copy this. Come over here. Okay. Before we do that, we need to work on the frame. Okay, the frame that is carrying this stuff. Let's arrange it. So we're going to say the frame. We're going to add this frame to it, like the frame we're actually working on. We'll find a new frame. Okay, the frame we're working on. So I'm going to say width. So the width is going to be 295. It's already backtested. That's why I'm using this value. So on your own system, you can check what works for you. You can adjust them. That's why I'm explaining what they do. This is the background color. So here I'm going to have it to be black, but you can actually do it anyhow. The one that fits you. Then I'm going to actually place this guy. I'm going to place this guy on the X and Y axis. So X is going to be 5, Y is going to be 107. Okay, and then we're going to run this code. Alright, so very simple. So this is the line, like it's dividing this stuff. So this is where we're going to actually type that number. So there will not be need for this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is come over here. We don't need the border anymore. Just draw the border and then make sure it's I think white is fine, but we can do that. So let me see. So I'm actually backtesting this stuff. Yeah, so I think it's a little bit better now. Okay, actually type our name there if you want to. Okay, so that's fine. Let me see. Let me make the width 25. I think it's okay. Let me off that. Let me see how it looks like now. It's still the same thing. I think 30 is fine. I think 30 is fine. I'm going to 35. I'm going to 30. Alright. So I'm actually going to copy this stuff and then do it again for the password. So let's copy this stuff and then come over here. See, for password, I'm going to paste this here. So for this user, I'll just copy it and I'm going to call it pwd, Ctrl D, pwd for my password. So for the frame, it's going to have a width of 30. I think it's fine. It's going to stay there and entry. So the background color will be black, no border, white, the same font is fine. Now the width, the placement is going to be Y is going to be, because Y we are bringing it down, like we're bringing it lower under S, wants to be under the first one, so it cannot be the same place. So we're going to start from 30. This is going to start from 30. Okay, so that's what we have there. So it's going to say enter your password. For the placement, we're going to have for the frame, it's going to be placing there with height and black background. Then the S axis will still be 5 because that's what I want it to be. The S axis, no, let's make it 25 because it's a shift to the end. You know what? Even this one, so let's shift it to the end, like the position. So this one, I'm going to make this one, bring it down a little bit. It will be 277. Save and refresh. Yeah, I think it's much better now. Yeah, it's much better. So they are in the same height, the same line width with this one. I think that should be much better. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is very simple. Now we've done this, we want to design a button that will be submitting this form. We can do a button there. We can even add a sign up button and a login button. Then if you want to sign up, you can click on sign up and it's take you to sign up. But here I'm just going to do only login for now. So I'm going to design a button. So come over here, let's write a comment. So design the button. Okay, so that's what I want to design a button. There's a widget. This is a widget called button. So it's actually easy. It makes everything easy. So I'm going to call the frame. Frame. Yeah. So this frame, we're going to give it a width of 39, and then we're going to add padding on the y-axis. So I'm going to say pad y. So this is actually good if you're coming from the background of HTML and CSS, you understand exactly what we're doing. So padding 7. Okay. So that's what we're doing, just adding space around it to make it look good, make the button look good. That's also what we're doing, nothing too serious. Then the next thing I want to do is to add a text on the button. So the text is going to say login. Okay. Then I'll submit anything I want to call the text. So I have a BG color, I have a background color here. Background of the button. So background I want it to be blue. So for it to be blue, I just need to add the additional color. If blue is going to be 00F, I think, yeah. So if the blue is going to be the 4 color, FG, okay, which is the 4 color, that is the color of the text itself now. So it's going to be white. I keep making this mistake. So it's going to be white. Then of course I don't want a border on the button, so border 0. And then finally I want to place this button. I'll design the button, I want to place it on the form. So to place it, I'm going to say place x-axis is going to be 35, and then y, I remember the first one was 25, so this is 35. Y-axis is going to be let's say 204. You know, if it's not okay on your system, you can actually readjust it. Then I want to create a label. Let's create a label for this. So to create a label, this label will be under the form. Okay, it's going to be under the form. So it's going to carry label. So this label is going to be this what this is a variable I'm creating yet. So I'm going to create it inside the label. Alright. So this label is going to carry the frame. So this frame is going to have a text of saying. So this text is going to say something like already have an account. Okay, sorry, no, don't have accounts. Don't have an account. You can say sign up. Alright, sign up. So say sign up. So it's still going to be normal text. Then we're going to add a sign up button under that. So for the fonts, let's add a font. Okay, let me add the color first. So the color, I want it to be something like maybe black. So the 4 color of the text is going to be black. So 000, whoa, this will be in quotes. 000 there. So it's going to be black. Then background color should be white normally. So we should have a background color of white. That's FFF. And then finally what we want to do is to give it a font, because the same font we'll be using. So I'm going to open the parenthesis here. So it's Times New Roman. Times New Roman. So I'm going to give the font of let's do 9. Okay, let's do 9. Then finally I want to place the label. Remember, I have not placed it. You can actually come over here and place it and say dot place. I guess you can do dot place. You can do dot place. If you are doing dot place, there's no need of adding this one. There's no need of adding this one. You can remove this one and say dot place. But I just want to put it this way so as it to be, you know, much more understandable. So I'm going to label dot place. So again, place it on the X and Y axis. I think one of the most hardest things is just to place it, but you just click it around, try different numbers to give you what you want. So 75, and I want to place it on 2070, and I think that's it for that. So if we run this code now, we should be seeing something much better. Yeah, so this is the form. You can also add a hover here if you want to, but I think it's okay. So we have a simple form and login. The image is not looking too good, but you can actually crop out this image and make it look better. So this is our login form. Very simple. Very simple. So let me add a sign up button, because here I'll say don't have account. Sign up. I can actually click here, but I can't make it a button. You know what I'll do? I'll just put the button under here. So the button for sign up. So I'm going to say sign up button. Okay, so sign up button. So for sign up button, it's still going to be a button, but let me just call it sign up. So remember, the variable cannot have space, that's why I'm using underscore. So the same thing is applicable, just define a button, and it's not defined. This button is a widget, sorry. So we're going to call the frame, which is the frame we'll be using. I'm going to add the width to that frame of 6, and then I'm going to add the text for the frame, which is of course going to be, let's call it create account. So create account. You can add a border, and this border is going to be 0 because we don't want a border around the button. And then finally the BG color is going to be white, and you want it to be pointing, so it's going to be white. It's going to be white. Now whenever you place your mouse there, it will point. So just say cursor. You can say equals to true or something. Okay, you can say cursor equals to pointer, or like in this you can say cursor equals to pointer, but here I'm going to say cursor equals to hand, because I want it to change to, some like a person's hand when you move on it. So I'm going to have the fore color of that particular text to be maybe kind of a dark color, or let's say blue color. So let me try blue color and see what it's going to look like. So FF0. So that's going to be a blue color. So finally, let me place the sign up button. If you don't place it, you're not going to see it. So that's why I need to place the sign up label button. Okay, so today I'm going to remove this one. I don't need this one anymore. Okay, so what I'll do is simple. I'll place the button. So sign up dot place. So where I place it is going to matter, but I want to place it right beside. I want to place it right beside the so I'm going to place it right beside this one. So the place 21 by 215 by let's say 215. I'm just calculating it, sorry. 215 by y of 270. I see how that looks like. Save. The first one was also 270, so I told them to be at the same side. Okay, yeah, cursor. So I have an error saying cursor hand. That cursor cannot be hand. Okay, about cursor pointer, so cursor cannot be hand. So what we need to change this is to hand 2. Let us say hand 2. If we do that, let's see if that should change. Let's say and 2. All this is are in documentation. So you see it's running now. All of them are in the documentation. So if I bring my cursor here, it's actually pointing now. So I can actually click here if I want to. Like it's clickable. So I'm going to push this test out a little bit. It's not the width is too small. So I'm going to push it out a little bit. I was trying to calculate that. So the width cannot be 6. Let's make the width. How many characters there are? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So let's make it cut 14 characters. So let's run it again. Yeah, so you see it's coming up create account. So I wanted to place it beside here. So this is actually the X. This X we are seeing here, this X, the position, look at its place. So if I make it let's say, so that's how I was calculating the thing. So if I make it, because this one is yeah, we're placing this one 75, which is above. So we can actually place this one, so it should be a little bit close. Let me see, let's start 200. So but this one they can be in the same line, because on the y-axis they need to be in the same line. So on the same column, sorry, same column. So that's why I have that. So if I save, so you see it's looking much better. Alright. So we have our login form, very simple login form. So all we need to do now is to actually bind these inputs. So whenever you click on this button, you see it's going to work. This one is clicking, see, all of them are clicking. So whenever you click on this button, it's going to do something like submit or something like that. For now, the button is not doing anything, and that's not how we want it to be. So to do that, we're going to use the bind function. So that's why we gave all these things variable, all the variables, and then like the user variable. So we're going to use user variable. We're going to bind it. We're going to have the password that's BW. Look at it there. So we're going to do this, bind this username, and then also bind the password. So to bind this user is simple, just say user.bind. Okay, now in the bind options, we're going to bind it to a particular function. We're going to add maybe focus and some stuff there to make it look good. Then we can look at something like on entry, which is an event parameter. The events are also being covered in the documentation, where you have an event to trigger out whenever anything happens. So we're going to have two functions here. So we're going to have two functions. One function is going to run. So here, okay, I'm going to write a comment. One function is going to run whenever you finish the let me add this. Okay, let's say bind input field. Okay. So we're going to say user.bind. Let me show you. Yeah. So you see, it says bind to this widget at an event sequence. Okay, a call to a function. So there's a function we need to call. Anytime the function is called, that's when this bind operation will run. Now this function is going to be triggered by an event. We need to bind it to an event. So what event do you want to bind it to? The event can be anything. This is how you write event in tkinter. The event, we have different events. We have focus in, focus out. Focus is when they start typing. So we're going to say focus. Okay, sorry, it has to be in like a tag, like HTML tag. So when it's going to start with capital letter, focus. I don't know, I can write focus. Okay, so it's going to be focus in, and then we're going to be having focus out. Okay, this will have focus out. So this one is going to be out, focus in, focus out. Now for the focus in, it's very simple. We're going to get the function, call it on enter. That's going to be the name of the function, and then because it's not really defined now, so we're going to be seeing that error. Then we're going to have on leave. Okay, so whenever you enter, so focus in will run the enter function, while that is going to bind it to this event. So whenever this happens, this function is going to run, or this function is going to run. Very simple, and we're going to still do the same thing for the other ones. So but before we do that, I'm going to define these two functions. and then give them an event parameter, and then anytime somebody types something inside there, we're going to run the function and then do one or two validations and then actually submit the form. Okay, so but for now the only thing I want to do is just to clean the button. So I'm going to come over here and say button events. Okay, for button events, what I want to do is to run the two functions. So I need to create those two functions. To create those two functions is simple. BF, that's how we create function in Python. So I need to say on enter underscore enter. Yeah, on enter is going to accept an E parameter. If you are coming from the background of JavaScript and all that, you know that E is an event parameter. So I'm going to run this function. I'm going to say user dot delete. Okay, we want to delete the entry. And once they are done, on enter. That's once they click inside the button. How can I still do this? If I run, it's going to be an error. But once they click inside that box, I want it to behave like a placeholder. It's going to wipe everything inside it and then leave it empty. Okay, so that's what we're doing. So we're deleting 0, and I want to end the that particular stuff. Alright, so under here I'm going to define the second function, which is actually when they now leave. When they are done typing, they want to leave. Like leave means they want to stop typing, like go and click the button or something. Once they stop typing and their cursor is no longer active inside that box, what I want to do is simple. I want to first of all set the name. I'm creating a new variable now. That variable is going to be name. What this name is going to have is the username. Okay, I can call it username or anything, so I'm going to say user.get. So what this get does is that it's going to get me the contents of that input field. So whenever the type is going to be issued to me by the name. So what I want to do is a very simple validation. I want to check if that name is not empty. Okay, so first of all, let's say if it's empty, for example, if it's equal to empty, that means if there is nothing inside the field and they do not type anything. Remember, we wiped everything here, so if they end up not typing anything, it means there is some kind of error. So I want to say user user.insert. Remember when we did insert before, but insert 0 as 0, that's remove it, and then want to say enter username, just we did before. I think somewhere here, yeah, enter username. Look at the user.insert, enter username. So if they do not type anything and they just leave the form, I want to bring it back to how it was before by saying enter username. So that is just what we want to do. And then let's start this program in a minute. So if you click here, the program runs. Once I click inside, you see it becomes 0. Nothing will happen here. See, this one is still showing, but this one, once I click inside, it closes. And if I refuse to type anything and click outside, it comes back. Okay, that's what we're saying. It comes back. Okay, so that is that on that. That's just what we want to do. But then when we are binding the events to this, so that whenever they click on what's it called? Whenever they click on it, you can actually type in something. If they type in something, it's fine, that thing stays. But if they don't type in anything at all, the one we have before will come back. That's what we just did. Okay, so we're going to do the same for the password input. So that's what we want to do for the password. So if we do that, we're still going to write the code again for the password. So the same code we did before, everything no difference, we just change the code. Okay, so but I'm going to add something. The password is I want it to be hidden. Okay, or should I leave that? I want the password to be hidden. So but anyway, I want it to be hidden, so let me leave it for now, but I'm going to add that in a minute. So what I will do is to come over here. So I'm going to just copy this function because of time. I'm going to copy this function. So but you can actually convert this into a password. Okay, you can convert it to a password if you want to. and make it a password so as to be running that way. Okay, so what I need to do is I'm going to just copy these two bind operations. There's no need of typing them again. So I'm going to do that same thing for the password. So I'm going to say binding the input fields. Under here I'm going to have this. So this is going to be password, Ctrl D to select the token, PWD, which is password. Now they are still going to run the same function, but of course in this function this is not a global function, it takes a parameter. Then we're not actually making use of that. I mean, I could actually make use of this E to target the particular element that was clicked and then use it and do this. Instead of saying user.delete, I could just say E.delete and it's going to actually do the same thing. But because this is a beginner's course, look at what I mean. Instead of saying this, I can just put E here. You understand? So it will represent that E, and then anything I pass into it, you need to take that as a function. I mean, maybe in some other videos I can do that. So, but here, let me just copy this stuff. So I need to come over here. On top of the password, I want to run this function. Okay, so this function is not going to be username. It's going to be the password. So PWD. So that's all. That's one. That's all I want to do. So let's test it out. Make sure everything is working fine. Run this code. So if I click here, the same thing is happening. See? So if I type something here, it stays. If I click on this one, this one stays. Okay. You see? So all now working fine. So once you bind this button, try to do something. So you can actually click. So to do that is simple. You can just bind it to a function. So that function will run whenever you click on the sign in button. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to bind the function to the button. Let's go down to the function. So under here, we're going to add a command. Yeah. So the command is going to bear the name of the function that will run in the code. Okay. So we are going to, for now, I'm going to just simulate a simple login message. Okay. But I'm going to connect this into a database, maybe in chapter version 2, because this is getting too long already. Yeah, I don't want this to be more than an hour. So I'm going to do version 2 when we're going to connect this into SQL. Okay. So SQL is going to actually take care of that. So the function I want to run here is simple. I want to run a function, let's call it sign in. Okay, so that's going to be our function. So this function is going to be on the create. Okay, not create account. It's going to be the create account is another function altogether. So I'm going to cut this from here. It's going to be on the this button, on the login button. This login button. That's where I want to put it. So it's not inside the place. It's going to be outside here. Alright. So what I want to do is simple. We're going to where do I place it? Let me place it over here. It's going to be the command here. So this sign in is not defined, so I'm going to define it. I have to go up all the way to the top to define this function. So maybe after the group, if I added anything, that's why I want to run this function. So I'm going to say define function. So this function is not going to take any parameters inside it. So what I want to do is to get the username. So the username is going to be equal to the user. Remember, user.get. This is going to get the input. Then the password, which is PWD, is going to be, okay, let me call it password for now, so it doesn't confuse us with the other password. So equals to PWD dot get. Okay, so this is going to get the two functions. And all I need to do now is to verify from the database. And even I have the database, okay, I say verify. Instead of verify, I say verify or query. Query DB. This is what we actually query DB. Okay, to have to know if it's there. But I'm going to simulate an artificial database where I'm going to create an object here, maybe a dictionary. I can create a dictionary here. The dictionary is going to actually contain demo users. Then if you want to look here, you can just look through that dictionary and then check if any of the data in the dictionary matches the person that's trying to log in, and then we can log them in. But for now, I can say if the username that's emulating the database, if the username is equal to, let's say it's going to be Cybergate, and password, let's see, and password, and password is equal to, let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6. If that's true, we might just want to print a message saying login success. Okay, login success. So what we are doing is simple. We created a sign-in form, and what we want to do is to get the user's inputs. When we get the 2 users' inputs, we can actually, check what they type. If it's equal to Cybergate for the username, and also the password is this, you can tell them they have logged in successfully. Else, you can give them a message saying they have not logged in successfully. I'm going to do the else in a minute. Okay, but then we can actually design. Remember, I have a message box here, so I'm going to use this message box to display error messages. So I'm going to use it in a minute. So let's run this application and see what we have. Okay, so this is our application, very simple. So we're going to check if it's working. I think everything should still be working fine. Yeah, everything is working fine. So all I need to do here is simple. I'm going to come over here and check if that username and password is working. Okay, so username is going to be Cybergate. Password is going to be 1 2 3 4 5 6. If I click this button, you see that on the console we have login success. See, on the console we have login success. So that's what we can do to create this login button. So I mean, it's okay for that, but what if there are different users? Of course, we can't do this. It has to be these static numbers. So, but before we do that, the essence of even doing this, I want to create a box. Okay. This box is going to be used to display the messages. Then if I have error message, I can use the loop, the message box to display that. Like all these places have error messages. So if this is empty, like here, okay, if not empty, if them is supposed to empty, you can do this. Then when they click on the button, here, you can also check here if it's empty. If it's empty, you can give them an error message. But now that is successful, you can do something. You can, put a message out and tell them that this is successful. Okay, that's what we can do. So okay, let's do that. So I'm going to define a root, another root, top level root. Now this root is going to be top level, which is I want it to be on top of this other existing frame that we're already using, like this frame. So I want it to be on top of this frame. That's what I want it to do. So if when I click on it, I want it to be on top of this frame. That's what I want to do. Alright, so let's do that. So continue with our program. I'm going to call it let's call it box. Okay, I'm going to call it box. So let me define that. I'm going to say box, but okay, let's define it first. So it's going to be the top level elements. So this is top level. So it's going to be on the root. Is actually going to house the root. Now the box is going to have going to say the title. It's going to have a title because it's going to be like a login. So like a login is successful. Title of let me call it dashboard. Okay, it's going to be like the dashboard. So I need to say box dot geometry, just like we did before when we were starting. I see geometry here. Okay, so the geometry what I still want to have is the same width and size of that thing, which is this one. Okay, the same width and size of this one. I just copy this, bring it up, and have it here. Okay, that's the same width and height of that. And then finally, I want the background color to be white, just like I did here. And in fact, I don't even want it to be resizable too. In fact, let me copy this too, guys, and put it here. So I'm defining another box to have this. Remember, Python must be indented, so I need to indent this code properly. Yeah, so it's to be another. Now, what I want to do is, okay, you can actually run the loop by saying, okay, this is not going to be, this needs to be box. Sorry, I forgot. I just copied that. So this needs to be the box. Alright. So we're going to say box dot main loop. Yeah. So we're going to run this. If that's successful, we're going to run this. Okay, but then let me add a label here. The label is going to just be the text that if you log in, that's the text you're going to see. So we're going to say label. So just say label. So it's going to take some parameters like so it's going to take the box, which is the new list. It's no longer the frame we're using. So it's going to take the box, and then we're going to have a text that will say welcome to dashboard or whatever, anything you feel like to add there. Welcome to dashboard. And then let's have a background color for that. So the background color is going to be white as usual. Most like we'll have. I mean, you can use any color of your choice, but this is what I want to do. Now I'm going to have the font again. Font is not that compulsory, but you can always have the font. So the font goes with parentheses because it has so many things inside it. So I'm going to go with Times New Roman again. Yeah, Times New Roman, and then I use another font. No mind, I'm using this one. So the size of the font can be, let me make it 30. I want it to be very bold, so let's say bold. And then so finally, what I want to do here is simple. I want to, before we used to say place, place, that's what we used to do. But this time around, I don't want to place it. I want to stack it. So I'm going to say pack. Yeah. So under pack, what we want to do is simple. We want to just expand it, okay? And just expand through, because we want it to be expandable. So we want to say expand through. So come over here and then expand. Yeah, this is true. That's all. So once you log in, you can see all of this. So let's log in again and see. So if you log in now, come over here and type the username and password. And the password 123456. Click OK. Let's say welcome to dashboard, and it's actually saved there. Okay. So that's all. And this one is actually expandable. I actually drag it out from this one. Just positioning them equally. And I don't want it to be draggable. That's why I just position it there. And actually destroy the first one for once. And destroy the first one for once. So very, very simple. Let me close that. So the last thing I want to do here is simple for this video. It's already getting too long. The last thing I want to do here is to write an error message. So if there is an error message, I want to display it to the user. So it's just the same thing we'll be doing. So come over here, we're going to have else if, so elif, let's say the username and the password do not match, or they know what they're supposed to be. So I'm going to display an error message for the user. So to do that is simple. I'm going to okay, let me say if username is not that admin. Okay, so there are some ways I'm actually thinking this through. There are some ways I'm actually do this. So if username is not the admin, or the password is not the admin, or you can do them separately if you want to. You can do for username, do for password, and do for do for username alone, do for password alone, and do other things depending on how you want to do it. But here I want to just keep it simple. I want to have just one error message for the both. So if username is not that admin or does not exist, or I'm using or. So in Python you can actually use one character or password. The password is not equal to our password, which is 1 2 3 4 5 6. And what we want to do here, I want to just display an error message to the user. So I can just say message was, using that our message was dot when show error. There's the show error method. You can have show info, show warning. So all this is depending on what you want to do. Info can be for success, you can say info. So show error, and I'll use it more when I do add SQL to this. So the caption or the title of the error message was going to be, let's say it's going to be let's say wrong password or wrong credentials. Okay, that should be the name. Let's say invalid. Okay, then I'm going to say wrong username and password combination. I think the message is already just wrong username and password. So that's fine. Okay, so let's try run that. If you run this now and then try to type anything that's not there, and type in the password, you click here. We have an error. Also put the operands type of this. Yeah, okay. It's saying it doesn't support this, so I'm going to use all instead. Okay, so let's run that. So all simply means whether this or this is correct. If anyone is not correct, but that should have worked. I don't know why. Maybe tkinter that's another thing. So we have to continue. Oh, sorry, I typed the correct one. I want to type something that's not correct. So click. Now I have an error message saying wrong username and password. So this is how I can do a very simple error message. So you can do specific error message for username and specific error message for password. I mean, that is you can do that for your choice. I mean, I might have to do it when I will work on the full version of the application. Yeah, we're adding SQL statements and all that, fetching SQL. I'm going to use SQLite, or I can even use normal PHP connect PHP SQL data to this, or I can use SQLite 3, which you can also check one other video. I have a previous video where I did how to connect Python with both SQLite and also how to connect it with normal PHP admin. Okay, it's your choice. You can actually do it anyhow you want to do it. It's very simple. Okay, so in the part 2, what I'll do is to actually create a database and then connect this stuff to the database, and maybe also create a sign up form. So if you click on sign up, it's going to open a sign up form. Okay, so you can try to do that. I also do that maybe immediately after now. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to be doing some of that video for the sign up, and then do some other video for the SQL connection for the both forms, and then we'll see it connect to the database. Maybe I'll use normal SQL for PHP admin, where I can go to PHP admin and create the form, or I can actually do it from SQLite. Okay, using my SQLite database, Control Shift E, and I can have this. So I can create an SQLite database that I can use here. Alright, so wait for the video. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like the video, share the video, and then make sure that whenever I drop the next video, you should be able to see the continuation of this amazing form. Okay, so thank you and God bless you.